As you look at these images, is there anything that stands out to you? You're probably familiar with Spider-Man, right? But did you know that he has a motorcycle? In this video, we're going to explore some reasoning behind the use of such a vehicle. We'll then look at Epic Hero Series' Spider-Man Web Blast Cycle and give some thoughts to questions about it. How does it fit in the 1/18th scale? What's the paint application like? How's the sculpt? And what's its posability? What's its playability? Can it be improved on with some customization? Welcome to Figures Out, where we take toys beyond the blister and the box. If you're like me, you're probably thinking, what need does Spider-Man have for a vehicle? Or maybe the more cynical side of saying, this is a gimmicky way of making more merchandise for a hero who has no need for it. And I get it completely. But when we got a good deal on the Epic Hero Series toy, and my son started to play with it, I began to warm up to the thought. But I still couldn't help but wonder, is this comic-based? Has Spider-Man ever used or needed a vehicle? This drove me to a quick search on the concept. Spider-Man, motorcycle, comics. The results? Well, I wasn't surprised or shocked that the majority of the appearances came from the animated side of things. But I was surprised to see that there is a spider cycle deployed in comics. Not often, but enough to suspend the cynicism and give some credibility to the concept. So what practical use is a motorcycle? A spider cycle, or as Epic Hero calls their toy, a web blast cycle. Just pause and think about it with me real quick. Imagine being Spider-Man. You're facing off against a powerful foe, and he heads to a more remote or isolated area. You need to close the distance fast. So you fire your web shooter. You know the sound. But it falls short because it has nothing to hold on to. And it leaves you stranded in the middle of nowhere. This is where the web blast cycle becomes your ace in the hole. It allows you to quickly catch up, get ahead, or even overcome the foe. Add in the element of weather in New York. You know, rain, wind, snow, sleet, and everything in between, right? And this vehicle may be a valuable asset in your arsenal to fight crime. It may be even an essential element. So, I can see the use for it. What can it do? What additional benefit does it bring? Again, the results of the prize search gave some answers. 1. It can provide quick movement on the ground level, but also high above between buildings with what's called an automated web bridge. I imagine it shooting from building to building, laying down a webbing-like bridge so that it can move from building to building easily. 2. It has rocket boosters, so it can travel even faster on the street level and above. 3. It can climb walls and scale at any angle. Adding those boosters just mentioned, and Spider-Man can get up to higher ground fast, maybe even faster than he normally could. And 4. It can adapt to any environment, meaning that New York weather will not impact how effective it is. Added to these, we have to remember that Peter Parker is somewhat of a genius, so he can probably add in elements that he sees fit for his endeavors to fight crime. Now that we've seen its legitimacy and its usefulness for a web crawling hero, you, like me, may have come around and acknowledged that there's definitely a place for the web blast cycle. So let's go ahead and focus in on Epic Hero's version of it. We'll be borrowing some footage and screenshots from other YouTubers and websites to show how Spider-Man and the motorcycle looks in the box and how they look coming straight out of the box. This is because the one that we have here at home was already opened. I have no idea where the packaging is, so can't really go back to that. And second, the motorcycle that came out that package has already been given some modifications, so we want to capture its original look and feel, and this was the best way I thought we could do this. If you're curious and want to see and hear these original reviews, links to them will be in the description. So to start, the packaging looks fun. It's definitely geared toward the younger enthusiast, the future collector, and the future customizer, hopefully. To put it another way, the packaging is geared toward a younger person, a kid, a child. That's not a knock on it, but in my mind's eye, it just doesn't carry the same feel that prior 1/18 scale figures have or had. I'm thinking Marvel Universe, Marvel Infinite, Marvel Legends, etc. To their credit, the Epic Heroes brand and packaging is consistent, whether here with Spider-Man or with the X-Men, and even with their Guardians of the Galaxy. It's consistent. That being said, I'm stoked that Epic produces and is producing 1/18 scale figures, and gladly accept the packaging style. I like the open window where we can see the figure. We have the web blaster on the bottom in action on the front. A quick look at the contents of the package is seen on the top right of the tab, along with a sharp image of our wall crawling hero on the left. On the back, there's what I'd classify a pictorial set of instructions on how to set up the web blast on the motorcycle. Step 1, load the web. Step 2, push the button to fire the web. Pretty simple, right? Below that is a 2-scale image of the figure and the motorcycle. The small text actually says actual size. So this gives us the metrics of the motorcycle and Spider-Man. The side panels reiterate the instructions of how to load and fire the web shooter on one side. And here's a quick look of an image I was able to pull for that. The same pictures are on the top lip, and on the other side is a larger panel picture of Spider-Man shooting webs. No motorcycle there. The bottom has the legal and copyright details, you know, all that stuff we never read through. If I were to critique this box or this packaging, I'd say the one thing I would change: show a panel comic style picture of Spider-Man on the motorcycle. I'd love to see an original rendering of this figure on this styled spider cycle. Opening the package, you'll see a few loose pieces for the motorcycle. One is you'll see the clear front panel of the motorcycle. The second, you'll see the moving web that goes over the back tires. And 3, you'll have a couple loose web shooter pieces. You'll need to insert the pieces of the motorcycle on the front and on the back. It's pretty easy. And then you can load up one of the web shots in the launcher itself, and then store the second on the side panel on the left side of the bike. Let's swing over to sculpt and paint application real quick. Spider-Man here is a remake of a prior Epic Heroes figure with a slight variation in the color scheme. We'll look at him a little more later. We really want to focus in on the spider cycle, the web blast cycle. The sculpting and molding is really good. The mold of the spider emblem on the front piece, that clear blue piece, is my favorite element on the whole bike. The details to the air intake and grilling is precise, and the engine here is done good as well. A similar spider emblem is seen on the sides, but is less visible at a distance due to the lack of either a wash or a contrasting paint, which is unfortunate because that sculpt, that whole emblem piece, both here and in the front, they're really top notch. The spider emblem is continued from the front blue piece onto the gas tank area. Again, it gets washed out due to the lack of contrast here. The seat and the web flap over the tires are very detailed, but the flap sculpt too could be highlighted better. The underside is pretty much abandoned sculpt-wise, but that's fine. The tires have a real tire-like feel to them. The front tire is a single tire, and there's a dual tire system on the backside, which technically makes this a tricycle. The rims, gearing in the back, and the brake system in the front are there, but again, could use that contrast to give them justice and make them really pop. Same goes for the shocks there in the front. It does roll smoothly and stays upright by itself because of that dual tire system on the back. Before we look at the customized web blast cycle, let's take a quick little look at Spider-Man and compare this to the predecessor from Epic Heroes. As mentioned before, it is the exact same sculpt outside of the left hand, which does not have the whipping pose here. There is a difference in paint application on the shoulders and below the knees. The red on the web blast cycle Spider-Man here, the calf area looks a little bit more angled than on the normal suit version. He also has a blue soled foot, which I think looks good when comparing the two. The shoulder area differentiation is not a typical Spider-Man look, but it gives him a different suit, so you can't go wrong there. If there was sculpt built into this new pattern, I think it would just make this character, this figure, that much better. But as it is, it's fine. As for articulation, his shoulder goes 360 degrees and raises up to a little bit more than 90 degrees. Elbows bend at nearly 90 degrees and rotate around the pin, swivel 360 degrees. No wrist articulation. Head rotates 360 degrees around the swivel there, with little up and down motion. Legs go out to the infamous Van Damme pose. They go forward about this much, and you have to maneuver him a little bit to get the legs behind his torso. Knees bend a little less than 90 degrees and rotate around the pin 360 degrees. Highlights for me are the head and the sculpted emblem on his back. Proportions and sculpt are both good, and I appreciate them, especially that back sculpt. He's standing about 3.9 inches as depicted on the box. He will fit into the 1/18th scale perfectly. Peter Parker, if you remember, is supposed to be 5 foot 10 inches in the comics, which roughly translates to about 3.8 inches in scale. So you'll have a more accurate size Spider-Man here than you do with most of our Marvel Universe and other 1/18th scale figures. Now, onto the motorcycle. In action, you can see the webbing cape pop up and down as the vehicle moves. This is a simple and fun effect that the chrome paint just helps come to life. Yeah, it may be a little bit cheesy, but the chrome just makes it feel so much better. I use chrome to help the webbing sculpt really pop out. You can see that here, but especially on that front emblem going onto the gas tank area. I use titanium silver on the clutch and brake grips. To help the side emblems pop out, I added some black. We'll check those emblems out here in a few. But here's a good view of the emblem on the front from the top. I mean, this sculpting looks amazing with this chrome. You'd almost miss it otherwise. Just look at the video before. I'm so pleased with how it's popping out now. Just look at that. Dang, kid. Loving that sculpt with a mirror-like reflection. I use gloss black paint on the side emblems. Again, you would almost miss them without this paint here. Here's a view from the other side. I mean, it just looks good. I can't be more pleased right here. Adding chrome to the engine block just made sense, as adding it to some of the side panels here too. Titanium silver parts are interspersed here and on the foot pedals. And here's the webbing on the back with the chrome. Man, just look at that. That looks popping. As we turn the vehicle around, you can see some reflecting right there from the tires. You know, I put some chrome here on the rims, just on the actual rim part and a little bit on the outer part. And you can kind of see here on this video, but the video just doesn't do justice. But you can see the glimmer there, and then there's webbing right there. Put chrome on that. You can see it in person. The angle here is just not that great, but it's just good. Again, the tires just feel great, and yeah. Moving on to the front, again, the spokes there are all chrome. Got some titanium silver there on the strut. Looking at the rim, oh, there we go. Look, you can see some of that reflection. But looking at the brake system, I definitely want to probably add some color there. I just don't know what combination to put. And as I'm turning this wheel here, I can actually see that reflection. You can see it right there. A little bit of chrome popping. Again, I didn't put chrome on the whole tire, just on the molded pieces. And you can see, if you just look at the angle, you might be able to see it on the webbing there. But it's hard to tell. But I promise it's there. You can definitely see it. Man, I love these tires. This feel of those tires are pretty fun. All right. Well, that's the customized Spider-Man Web Blast Cycle from Epic Heroes. I do have to share that I used a chrome pen. And typically these pens or these types of paints will take a long time to set, and even when it does set, if you touch the paint, you'll end up getting your fingerprint embalmed in the paint, and then the chrome finish will wear off. So to counter that and to preserve the chrome effect, I ended up using the secret weapon. I'm planning on making a quick video on it here soon, but the secret weapon is this Holloway House Quick Shine Multi-Surface Floor Finish. I know, it's not a paint product, I get it, but this stuff works. And it's so much cheaper than some of the other chrome finish products. And I'm thinking about products like Aqua Gloss and the like. I actually used it on the entire bike outside of some areas like the tires. It gave the plain red and blue pieces here a sheen or a gloss that I think just helps pull the whole job all together. I'm super satisfied and pleased with it here. Links to this, the floor product or the floor finish, and the pen will be in the description if you're interested. So yeah. Here's the customized Spider Cycle, and here's what it looks like. Following is a bit of a montage or overview of the bike and Spider-Man. Really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe for future videos or future updates. Thanks for hanging out here at Figures Out. If you want to see how this motorcycle looks with other 1/18 scale figures, go ahead and click on the next video coming up here soon. Until we hang out again, taking toys beyond the blister in the box, this is Thorough for Figures Out, sending blessings to you and yours as you have fun collecting, customizing, and living in gratitude wherever you're at. Peace.